Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Sometimes the chance for revenge comes up on its own. And oh boy, did our OP take it. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. The time I did nothing. I worked at a restaurant in a casino in Vegas. It was a table with 10 Europeans. I greeted them, introduced myself, gave everyone a menu, told them the special, and went through the drink menu. A few minutes later, I was standing in a corner chatting with a manager while watching my section. It was obvious the big table was going through the menus. One man from the table walked up to the manager and told him that they had been here 10 minutes and had yet to see their server and had been trying to flag someone down to take their order. None of this was true, so he probably didn't recognize that I was his server. I apologized profusely while knowing I was right and escorted him back to the table to take their order. I offered to start with the ladies, knowing no one was ready except for him. I went to the man's wife and asked what she would like to drink. She went red and asked me to skip her. So did every single other woman at the table. I went back to the guy who complained and asked if I should continue. He told me to go away. Everyone was nice but him. I bowed and scraped to not get a complaint, but he made up for his first complaint going wrong by being unhappy with everything. At the end, he had a long talk with the manager, who wouldn't tell me what was said. He charged the check to his room and verified his identity with his passport and complained about the wait because they had the red-eye flight out of Vegas to catch. Now, I'm a really nice guy. I don't get upset over trivial things. I know life, and each night evens out in the end. And I would never mess with someone's food. But when I picked up the check and saw his passport still inside, I immediately had the urge to chase them through the casino to return it. I've done it many times with credit cards or IDs. Instead, I did what I was supposed to do and left it with the hostess, who locked it in the manager's office safe because we're about to close, which means the earliest he could retrieve it was when we open at 11 a.m. the next day. Good luck catching your international flight. And our second story. Fixed neighbor's roof for free. He went to Hawaii for vacation, and now he can't pay for materials. My husband and I are general contractors. Our neighbor across the street has a home with roof trusses caving in. It's been getting worse over the years. My husband offered to help the family out at no charge, just pay for the materials. So my husband went and measured and ordered the roof trusses on our account at the lumber yard. Measuring and ordering trusses, you have to be exactly right so you don't end up paying for trusses that don't fit. So the trusses are built and the neighbor doesn't have time to have the roof rebuilt. We're stuck with a large invoice for the trusses. We pay our supplier. Finally, after a few weeks and snow in the forecast, the neighbor decides to replace the roof. So my husband works all weekend, really long hours, with some friends to rebuild this roof. He gets it done just in time for the snow. We figured the neighbor will be right over with a check, right? Nope. 2 days later, he takes his family for a 2-week vacation in Hawaii. Now, they're visiting family there, but still, right? They come back and start avoiding us. So husband goes over to collect. Now, we haven't marked up the materials, and my husband has 2 days of hard labor on the job for free. The neighbor has all the excuses about not having money. After a day or so, they bring us roughly 1/3 of the money. No idea when they'll have more. This is the last time I help a neighbor. I guess they think us contractors are all rich and have nothing better to do than work on neighbors' houses for free. The worst part is, my husband feels like he let me down. Not the neighbor, but he himself let me down. So of course I tell this poor sweet man that he's done nothing wrong and that the neighbor is completely taking advantage of his good nature. It'll be a tough Christmas for us, but I'm married to the best guy in the world. Update. Neighbor is finally paid up. 2 payments. Payments were cash. Had a gazillion excuses. Towards the end of the conversation, his wife tells me they're going to do more projects in April that they're needing help on. I said nothing. I'm hoping the sound of silence is worth 1,000 words. My husband and I are very happy this is behind us, and we didn't have to go to small claims court and get a judgment against them. We're both very sad that there are such jerks in this world. And our next story. Could you guys pay for my girlfriend's expensive birthday? So this guy decides to throw a surprise birthday party for his 25-year-old girlfriend, who's also my wife's friend. He chooses to throw it at a restaurant that's way too expensive for most of us, her group of friends, and demands we bring her gifts individually and not to chip in for one big gift. So my wife and I decide that it's all right, we're just going to order something to drink that wouldn't break our budget and buy her something nice and enjoy being at this nice place. Some of our friends also decide to do the same and agree to hang out after the birthday at a cheaper restaurant to eat something. So we go to this restaurant and do what we intended to do. He gestures to the waiting staff and they bring this huge cake. We grab a slice each, she opens the gifts, we take a couple of pictures and we have fun for about 2 hours, then start to leave. But he keeps saying, just wait for a couple more minutes, there's something important. We all think he was going to propose or something and wanted us to witness. He goes somewhere for a couple of minutes, then gestures to some of us to talk privately. Some of us go to him, including me, and he shows us this jaw-dropping receipt for the cake and the reservation and the service and asks if we'd like to split it among everyone or among her friends only, since some of the people invited were just SOs of his girlfriend's friends. How considerate. No one said anything, but we each gave each other that look. I particularly didn't want to cause a scene because my wife's so touchy about this group of friends. So we pay and decide that we can't go to the cheaper restaurant afterwards because of this, with the gift and the drinks and all have already broken our budget. And we all head back to our apartments. Edit. We don't live in the US, so the dollar equivalent of the bill won't really make sense, but the parking alone costs what I make in an hour. Can't stand people who invite guests for parties and then expect them to pay for it. And our last story. I don't work here, but now you get to come to my work. I'm a correctional officer and work nights. After work, I normally just go home and sleep to get ready for my next 12-hour shift. However, on my days off, I take the time to do chores and housework. On this day, I did not have the night off, so I had to get what I could done before going to bed. So I went home and picked up my wife and kiddos to go grocery shopping. We get to the store and start doing the usual. A lady comes up to me and my family and starts asking for directions to items. Some I know and some I don't, so I tell her where the things are I know and apologize for the things I don't. Now, mind you, I'm in full uniform. Taser cross-draw, cuffs on each hip, fogger on left thigh, spray, and all the other items I use at work. On top of that, I smell of peppers, sweat, mold, and rust as the facility I work at is old and moist. She seems upset but walks away. We continue shopping, and after a while, we meet up with the lady, and she spots us and comes down, but this time she's pissed. She starts screaming that I'm the worst employee ever and should be fired for not helping. She continues on about how I should be catching shoplifters or back watching the cameras instead of flirting with this W. Yay, she's one of those. I interrupt her rant and saw the usual words of, I do not work here. She, of course, fails to hear them, as is the usual on this sub, and continues her rant, yelling and screaming that she picked me to help her because I'm the asset protection and should know where everything is. I ask my wife to take the kids and find a manager for this Karen. Lady, from now on known as Karen, is none too pleased to hear her secret identity outed and increases her volume. I try to explain to Karen that I'm a jailer, not loss prevention at a grocery store. I tell her to go pound sand and find someone that actually works here. I then turn my back and start to walk away when I'm nailed in the back of the head and fall forward in a full face plant. I'm hurting, dated, and can feel glass all around me. I roll into my back and feel around. It's pasta sauce. This bee just brained me with pasta sauce. She's still yelling and screaming and raises another jar to throw. I grab my taser, aim, and pop. Down she goes. Hard I get up, stumble over, flip her around, and cuff her. She's out like a light. My guess is the fall. I then sit back down and take an inventory of myself. I'm bleeding pretty bad from my head, but seem to be all right. My wife, customers, and management show up as I'm checking over Karen. I pulled my trauma kit off the back of my belt to get to the smelling salts. I tell them to call 911 and continue checking on Karen. She's awake, dazed, and blissfully quiet. The rest goes as expected. The police arrive, question me, question her, watch the cameras, and I refuse medical treatment but do press charges. As my wife is a boss A.B., I say that with reverence. She's medical trained and will take good care of me. I go home. She asked if I wanted staples or glue. I chose glue. She glues my head and we take a shower, go to sleep, and she wakes me up from time to time, which I know isn't the best idea, but hey, a few days later I'm writing this, so I ended up all right. I get a call a couple hours before my shift ordering me to come in early to talk to rank. Dreading this, I follow my orders and get up, shaved, showered, and dressed. I go in and have to explain the whole thing again and again. Then they show me the video from the store. It's exactly as I explained. Though I did note she could throw far better than I could have dreamed. They order me not to wear my uniform outside of work and tell me I'll be working in booking tonight. I'm not very good at booking, but look forward to the training and activity of it, as the rest of the facility is slow and boring. Around 11 p.m. rolls around, and who do I see being escorted into booking? But Karen. I start to talk, but my sergeant taps me and shushes me. He talks to the deputy, bringing her in, and they start doing the paperwork while I watch and try to learn as much as possible. She's charged with aggravated assault of a law enforcement officer and possession. Who would have thought? Now Karen gets to live at my workplace. I don't get to work in the female zones, but the booking process was fun, though I wasn't allowed to do anything but watch. After she's booked, I'm told to report to another zone and end up finishing the night. Now, for the past few days, pasta jokes have been in abundance, and her nickname is Pasta Lady. Her court date isn't for a while, and she's reportedly not getting along with other inmates. How rare someone actually gets to see a Karen thrown in jail. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.